All right, we're going to get started here. Welcome, everybody. This is the final week for this class. Can you believe it? It's gone so quick. I think these classes go by so quick. It's kind of crazy. I almost wish for 2 more weeks of each class. I think that would be very nice to have. But I guess in the long run, you guys will end up graduating quicker. So that's a good thing. All right, so hopefully you guys received my feedback from week 3. I went through all of your work for week 3 and hopefully gave you a good idea of what to change for your ads, your print ads, and your 2 web ads. One thing I did want to make mention of, I did see some confusion with some of the web ads, and I did mention this last week. So if you're not listening to the recording, I know you are not listening to the lecture recordings, because I specifically said, and it is also written in the instructions too, so that's important to read the instructions for every assessment and assignment. But in assessment 3, it mentions about creating a different ad based off the same ad that you did for your print ad. For the 2 web ads, create 2 different web ads, same brand that you did for the print ad, just targeting a different target audience. So I had some of you just take the print ad and change the size of it, keep everything, you know, pretty much the same, the image, the copy. So, you know, if you receive feedback from me saying, you know, you really need to change this to target a different target audience, please make sure you're reading through the instructions and listening to the recordings for that. Some of you guys didn't create both ads. There are 2 different ads that you needed to create with the size ratios specified in the assessment 3, so make sure you're doing that as well. All right, so hopefully you guys are at a good point. I know I have a couple sections I still need to get through for late work. So if you have not received feedback from me as of yet for that, you should be in the next 2 days. So hopefully we'll be all good and straight with that. All right, let's get started with week 4 live lecture 1. This is the finals week, so let's end strong, everybody. I am here for you. I'm here for you to help you succeed, and I want you guys to all succeed in this class and learn a lot. So it doesn't necessarily mean getting an A is great, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're always learning. So, you know, I always like to say it's okay to get a lower grade if you are learning and you're going through the process. I mean, of course, I want you guys to get the best grade possible, but I also want you guys to learn as much as possible too. And sometimes you just have to go through the hoops of maybe getting deductive points because you need to revise something, and you know you're going through that learning process. So don't take it as, oh, you know I'm not doing very well in this class. You know, as long as you're coming back and I can see that you're taking that feedback well and applying it to your future pages and revising your past pages, that's kind of what I want to see. That's growth and potential and evolution of your design process. So I want to see that. Okay, so what is going on? What is due when? You have your assessment for your final project is due before midnight on Saturday. Late work due by Saturday before midnight. Can't accept work after this date and time. I will need to submit final grades at that point. So I need to get that in. So if you still owe me from week 3, make sure you're getting that in this week as well. You also, don't forget, you also have a career integration quiz. So let's go ahead and take a look at week 4 here. All right, so the learning objectives are listed here. Apply well-defined grid structure to enhance visual hierarchy. It's kind of what we've been doing all the past 4 weeks. Utilize complex character and paragraph style sheets to create consistent formatting on a multiple page layout. Again, that's something we've been doing all the past 3 or 4 weeks. Identify the similarities and differences between print and web layout strategies, and create an interactive PDF by properly structuring a multi-page layout and design. This week, you will convert your finished magazine to an interactive PDF, making your magazine come alive to create a delightful experience that will captivate your reader on virtually any device. All right, so go ahead and look at this nice enlightening video here if you get a chance. Also, don't forget in course media, you do have a last week 4 course media section here that has required readings and videos, so make sure you're kind of paying attention to that. It looks like more just, it's all pretty much videos from lynda.com. It also says, see examples above for various types of media insert layouts for week 4. All right, let me go back to week 4 here. In your discussion here, which is due before Saturday, initial post before Wednesday. Let's take a look at that. All right, so we're going to be discussing designing for print versus web, something we all need to be aware of and think ahead. You guys pretty much were doing this last week when you went from your print ad to your web ad. So there are definitely some things to think about in terms of the layout, the color, user experience, audience, whenever you're converting or creating a web ad versus digital, or converting it from print to digital, sorry. So read through this. I'll go right to the prompt. So there are 2 main ways a designer will create a project, in digital and print form. As a professional designer, it is your job to communicate effectively when designing for both print and digital mediums and learn that they are separate and not equal. For this discussion, you will research to identify the similarities and differences between print and web layout strategies and what sets them apart in the design process. The process has some very distinct differences when going from print to web that extends beyond basic design fundamentals. We live in a digital world, and making the switch from traditional print to digital publishing format is a big step. The art director for Acme Media Group has requested you convert a magazine to an electronic format that will be distributed online. Preparing a printed magazine for the digital world is where the confusion often sets in. The good news is several methods can be used to complete this task. Every designer has their own design process and preferred method for converting print layout to digital publishing formats such as EPUB or interactive PDF. Research and find 2 methods to accomplish this task and discuss why you chose those options. Consider the functionality of your digital format, elements like links, buttons, mouse over effects, navigation, and other interactive features required to work correctly to create an engaging user experience. As the designer, how can you transform a print magazine into a digital one using these interactive features to bring your publications to life and take your audience beyond their basic reading experience? So thinking about that, you want to make sure you're using citations. You want to use articles that explain major design differences between print and web design. That'll support your perspective. You can also find articles from experts that offer best design practices and strategies for each format. Don't forget to follow the reply requirements, respond to each other, maybe show each other 2 different perspectives, and maybe somebody was posting something in one way and you saw another way to do it. Maybe kind of suggest that. Here are 2 examples of A student work for this discussion. If you're kind of stuck and kind of need to know where to go or get an idea of how to formulate your discussion, you can definitely take a look at this. This is the first one, and then the second one, which is this one. And there's comments in here from the instructor that was reviewing it. Okay. All right, let me know if you have any questions. I think the main thing that you need to think about is just kind of discussing the differences between print and web, and then how you would go about making it a EPUB interactive PDF. There's so many different ways that you can do that if you just search online. If you ever heard of issue.com, let's take a look at that site real quick. And that's with 2 U's. I think it's .com. Let me see. Yes. This is a really cool website to check out. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me see if I'm sharing my screen. There we go. Issue.com. It's just a way you can digitally create a publication, multiple page document. You know, you could do a portfolio on here. You could do a magazine, a journal, stuff like that, newsletters. This is a nice way to make it interactive, and you can kind of flip through it. I don't know if there's examples here. Oh, you know what? These are videos. Hold on 1 second. Oh, no, this is a, okay. So this is, I thought this was a video, but it's actually showing you what, you know, a digital publication would look like. And you would just upload files to create this. It's very easy. So say you're done with your magazine for this project, you would just upload your pages. Issue.com is one of those. So that might be something that you might want to talk about. So let me know if you have any questions, but for the most part, I want you guys to really kind of dig deep and research those methods. All right. I hope everybody's doing well. I was going to check in, but I don't really have anybody in lecture as of yet. But you know, if you're struggling, I do have a lot of you guys communicating with me, which is great, through email. Go ahead and shoot me an email if you're having issues, struggles. You know, I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can to help you out. That's why I'm here. So don't feel like you're bothering me. I'm dealing with seasonal allergies, so I'm kind of pausing my mic every now and then to cough. I apologize. It's all that tree pollen. All right, so today we went over announcements. Well, we went over your discussion actually, and we went over what's in your Coursepedia page. Now we're going to go through your assignment 4. We're going to get that started, and then we'll see from there if you guys have any questions. Okay, let's take a look at your assignment 4. This is the last part of your project. Well, somewhat of your last part. Let's go in there and take a look here. Tying up loose ends is what this is called. So basically what we're going to be doing, go ahead and read through the background. It's going to pretty much sum up what we're going to be doing, but I'm going to go right to the prompt. We are going to be doing the magazine cover and table of contents. That's the 2 pieces that we have missing so far in our magazine pages. Okay, cover. And typically the cover you usually do last because you have all of your articles created inside the publication, so you have everything set to go in terms of the fonts that you're using, the style that you want to go with, and the idea. Sometimes you just design it all and then leave the cover last. Now, I have worked in the publication industry, and I have designed covers first. So it's really kind of the process in which you are, you know, where you're working, you know, whether they want to get the cover out of the way right away. But it is kind of nice to work backwards like that, just so that you get a good idea of what the cover could be to kind of sum up the entire magazine. It's almost like a book cover. If you read the whole book first and then decide on a book cover, it gives you a better understanding of what the book cover should be in terms of the story that's in it. Okay, so I'm going to read this prompt here. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll start with the demo. You have worked hard to develop your magazine design format to establish the look and personality that connects to your target audience. As part of your design strategy, you have applied a well-defined grid structure to enhance visual hierarchy, as well as utilizing complex character and paragraph style sheets to create consistent formatting on a multi-page layout. Your job, however, is not finished yet, and some work remains to be done. The final presentation for your magazine publication. In addition to the magazine cover design and table of contents, final client revisions for the editorial, feature article, and magazine advertisement are required. The purpose of this stage of the design process is to complete any needed changes and receive the final approval from the client. In this stage, the designer will analyze the feedback provided by other members of the creative team, as well as self-critique, to complete changes and revisions, tweaking your design to perfection before it is presented to the client. And that's basically what it is. I mean, we all kind of go through that process, and that's kind of what you do as a designer, especially if you're working in a team environment. Excuse me, guys. Assignment instructions. You're going to review and analyze the feedback from editorial one assignment and week 2 assignment as well. And then you're going to, in the back cover advertisement, you're going to make those changes. All suggested changes for each section should be made to obtain final approval. So go back if you need to, look at my feedback, make those suggested changes. Welcome, welcome. I'm not sure who this is. What's your name? I see home. If you can hear me. Oh, somebody just left. Okay, maybe they were in the wrong room. All right, discuss with your instructor if you have any questions on the feedback and come to a resolution for the final magazine design. You're going to implement all changes. You're going to spell check and proofread the magazine as if you haven't seen it before. Okay, so then after you're all done with that, we're going to get right to the magazine cover. This is the exciting part. So in the 8-page document you set up in week 1, you'll be using page 1 for your cover design. Cover cannot have page numbering at all, so take that folio off. I'll show you how to do that. Apply a well-defined grid structure to enhance visual hierarchy, and always apply the principles of design, CRAP. You guys have probably went through a lot of my feedback, and I have mentioned maybe good contrast, not enough contrast. More repetition is needed, or you have really good repetition. Alignment is a big one. Pay attention to that, whether it's effective or not. Proximity, that's how you're sectioning certain areas of your elements. What's required on your cover is the magazine logo, the date, month, and year, a photograph promoting the main feature article, name of feature article, cover lines, minimum of 2 additional articles must appear on cover, magazine price, and then UPC barcode. So those are all the things that need to be on there. So we're going to focus on that first in our demo. I'll show you how to get started with that. The second part of this demo will be the table of contents, and this appears on page 2. There are a few of you that did not leave room for this, so this may become as a surprise to you, hopefully not, that you need some room for the table of contents. And this was stated in week 1 to leave space for this on page 2. So table of contents in the 8-page document you set up in week 1, you will be using page 2 inside front cover for your table of contents. Use all the articles listed in table of contents docs, which is in your folder that you should have downloaded in week 1. Apply the principles of design again. Only use client approved images, week 1. Create new paragraph and character styles and apply them to the following: article title, description, and byline. All right, when you're done, we're going to go through the submission requirements. What I'm probably going to do is, we'll see if we have enough time for that. We probably will. We're going to package the InDesign file when we're done, and we're going to save it as a zip file, and then we're going to upload the final magazine to your Behance portfolio site. And what you're going to do is you're going to submit the URL in the comments of your Behance portfolio site. You're going to send an email to your FPA. If you don't know who your advisor is, let me know. I'll let you know who it is. And you're going to CC, so carbon copy me in the email with the URL link to your project on Behance portfolio site. Here's some examples in here. Of some covers. I think these are issues too. Let me see. Yes, okay. So these are actually full examples. They're not just the cover. They show the cover and then the inside as well with comments. So you can take a look at what has been done. This is pretty much a good example for a student with A work. Excuse me. Here's another one. This is the second one provided. I think this is only 2 pages though. So you can at least see the cover and the table of contents here. See how they did the inside this issue. All right. So let's focus on the cover now, and then we'll go into your table of contents. All right, I'm going to open up my InDesign file that we were working on all through the class, my demo here. This is kind of what your cover should look like. It should be blank. There should be no page number, no folio. But on your inside pages, you should have the folio. You should have a designation of where your table of contents will be here. I just put this little gray square here. I don't know if I'm going to keep that, but that just shows that's where my table of contents will be. And then I have my feature article in here, all the 4 pages, and then my editorial from my continuation of page 2, and then my full page ad is placed. Okay, so make sure you're going through, making changes, do a spell check. Spell check can be found excuse me, guys, under edit spelling, and you can do just check spelling. So this is going to catch, look, I didn't catch that before, so it's going to check and catch, it's going to catch all of the misspelled words here because, yeah, we got to change that because that starts a new sentence. So we got to do capital. Change all, looks good. When you do this, you want to make sure that, because if you do have misspellings like this, it may change your lines as far as like maybe creating a widow where it shouldn't be because you are changing maybe the characters in the words. I'm going to skip that one. Just make sure you read through and everything makes sense. Geez, I guess I didn't spell check my editorial article here. I thought I did. Looks like I didn't. Okay, when you're done, hit File Save. Make sure it's all saved. Do any changes that you need to your articles before you start on your cover. You know, get that feedback given to you from me. Make sure all of your baselines align. I have a lot of you who your baselines may align maybe on one page, but not on the other page. This should all align. So from the page prior to this page, every single line should end on the same baseline, and all the baselines should align all the way across. Columns should align. Bottoms should end on the same line as every page ends. Keep it consistent. See how these are aligning on the bottom? Actually, this one is a little lower than that one, so I'll need to fix that one. And we're going to bump this up a little bit because see how, and this is a good thing to show you guys. See how this ends here or starts here on this line? So what we're going to do is we're going to bump this up. There we go. And that kind of helps me bump this part up so it all ends in the same line. And if I need to move this up a little bit to get that to the line, that looks good. Everything's ending on that same line. Okay. Check your page numbers. Make sure all of your tabs, if you have tabs on top here, make sure they're all balanced and equal and on the same baseline. Make sure your pull quotes have quotes on them. This one doesn't. Make sure they have quotes and periods. And I'm going to save this. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the very front page. This is the cover page. And I'm going to show my window. So I'm going to go to File, Pages. Now your number 1 page should not have any letter on it. If it has a letter, that means it's assigned to a master page. You don't really want it to be assigned to a master page. So go ahead and click on None, drag it over top of 1, and you'll have no net master page. Same thing for page 8, because it's a print ad. You don't really want a folio or page number on that page as well. So 1 and 8 should have a None page over top. All right, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and open up that folder in week 1 that you should have downloaded for the project that you are doing. And in that folder, it has your articles. And in those articles is a cover document. So it has like what should be on your cover page, text-wise. Okay, so let me go ahead and open that up. Give me 1 second here. All right, so in my folder, the cover articles are just named a list of articles. This is the list of articles that will be appearing on the cover. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to blow my nose. All right, these allergies are killing me. All right, so what's going to happen is this is my feature article. I'm not going to copy this because I don't really need to have that on the cover, but this is definitely what I need on the cover. That's the big feature article, so that has to have the most emphasis. The additional articles, so it says all articles are not required to appear on front cover. At least, I believe it says at least, let me look here. Required is cover lines, minimum of 2 additional articles. So 2 of the 4 I need to list, including, so I have to have the feature article, and then I have to pick at least 2 of these articles, if not more, to be on my cover. Now, some of these are not designed in, I think the only one that we designed were the editorial one, and that's it. All the rest of these are not actually in the book because we didn't have enough time to do the whole magazine. So these are kind of something that you would make up style-wise because we didn't actually do we did do the first one though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you kind of a way you can do this kind of in an interesting way, easy way, I think. I'm going to go back to my cover. And I'm going to pick, I need to pick 1 image at least to be my focal point for my cover, and 1 image that's going to work. So it has to be one that's going to work proportionately and be high res, you know, and look like it fits perfectly in there. So I'm going to choose, there's, and one that I use actually larger in my feature article. The runner. Fit and fill frame, there we go. And I can kind of move her around based on how I want her here. But I like the way that this, you know, looks. I think this works really well for the cover. Now, you're going to go back to that image folder in your assignment 1, and you're going to choose an image that you think works for the whole cover. All right, the second thing that I need to place is the flag. And this is also provided to you guys. I'm going to draw like a little rectangle frame box. I'm going to hit Command D, and I'm going to go back to my my folder that I downloaded in week 1, and it says, mine says Fit Me flag because I'm doing Fit Me magazine. Yours might say whatever the magazine is, flag. And you're going to have two, well, I have two options, black or white. So I can kind of see which one works best. This is the white. Let me try the black just to see what it looks like. Okay, this is the black. So I can kind of choose which one I like for my actual cover here. Let's do fitting here. Fitting content proportionately. There we go. And that will proportionally size this right. Now, I can do a couple things. Oops, not that. I can either fit this to be up here, maybe down a little bit more. There's no bleed though. So what I'm probably going to do is just bring this down. So there's just a little bit of a peekaboo at the top here. And I could probably bring this down if I wanted to and have this fit like this. If I wanted that top not to be like cut off. Or I can leave it where it's kind of a little peekaboo. I kind of like the little peekaboo. If I would have done the white on top, I probably would have changed this to a different color or something in that regards. But I kind of like the little peekaboo. I'm going to bring this up just a little bit so it aligns with my margin right there. Okay. Now, before I even go any further, you're placing an AI file in here. You're given an AI file for your flag. So what I want you to do, and it's really good to kind of get in this habit, and we'll talk about this with the images too. You're going to open up the AI file in Illustrator. That's the flag that was given to you. So now that I know I want to use that black flag, I'm going to open up the original flag in Illustrator. So open up Illustrator. And then I'm going to go find that same flag, the black AI flag. So here's Illustrator. Let me reset my stuff's all over the place here. Hold on, reset. Okay. So what you need to do, and it's good to get in habit, this is an AI file. This is the original native file that's given to you. I placed this AI file in my InDesign file, which isn't the preferred method, but I just wanted to see which version I wanted to go with. Now that I know, I'm going to go into Illustrator, open up the AI file, and I'm going to go ahead and go File, Export, Export As, and I'm going to save it as a TIFF file. TIFF file is great for printed purposes. I'm going to go ahead and export this out for print. Everything looks good. High res, 300 pixels per inch. I'm going to go back to my InDesign file. And I'm going to swap this out. So I'm going to do Command D, and I'm going to place the TIFF file that I had in there. It's going to be a little bit of a bigger file, but that's a good, habit to get into. Okay, now I have to put my feature article in here. Okay, this looks like a little different. I think I'm using a different version. Of this. So what you can do is you can copy your headline and bring it right over to the cover page. Yeah, this looks a little different than I originally did. And now you're going to create a grid structure. Because my image mostly takes up the left side, is kind of heavy on the left, I'm going to create a grid structure that maybe my copy is going to align on the right, maybe where this M starts. And where this M starts to this margin is where my copy will be. Kind of like this. Now I'm going to take the byline off. I don't need that. And it's up to you if you want to, because in, let's see my Word file here. Yeah, we can probably eliminate this part and kind of make this more exaggerated here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and open up your style sheets. We're going to create a new style for this, because right now I think this is the headline too. So we're going to copy and, you know, kind of make a duplicate of this. And we're going to name this headline copy cover. And we're just going to make this really big. Or bigger. And we'll try this. If we need to shift it, we can. Looks pretty good. Get your fittest fit ever. Now this is the feature article, and now we have to do 2 other articles listed at least. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and this is kind of what's on the Word document, although I think it's the whole thing here, so we're going to have to copy all of this. And we're just going to do a completely new text box, so we can easily change that out. There we go. There's that one. And this one can be spaced out a little bit more. And I would leave enough space in between the title and the first feature, so you know it's easy to see and it's more balanced. Now, right now, this is definitely hard to see, so I'm going to have to do something to make it easier to see. All right, and then I'm going to copy and paste one of the articles that we didn't do, but the name of it, so that we have at least 2 to list in here. Okay, and then what we can do is we can create a new paragraph style. A bullet point. We're going to do a new paragraph style. Something different. And maybe smaller. Try 28. Let's give it an auto. So this would be cover 3rd story. Okay, when that's done, just select cover 3rd story. We can switch this up in a second here. Okay, now what's going on here? I can't see it. It's not good contrast, right? Really hard to see. So there's tricks and tips that you can do to make this easier to read. One of them is just to set a very simple rectangle or an element that you think works best. I'm going to do a rectangle. And I'm going to draw this rectangle. I'm going to make sure I have enough margin space on both sides. I'm going to do white here. And I'm going to select all of my text boxes and go up to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. They go in front of my square here. And I can either have this bleed off the bottom or crop it up. It's completely up to me. I'm going to have it bleed off the bottom. And then I don't want it to be so like white. You know, I want it to be maybe a little different. Give a little bit of a dynamic to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Properties Manager panel box, and I'm going to dial this down just a little bit so you can see the image behind it kind of pop out. So I dialed it down. Let's do 75. I think that's probably safe. You want it to make sure that the copy is definitely readable. All right, with that being said, make sure everything's aligned here. We got to fix some of this stuff. Zoom in. Now I kind of have to adjust my my stories here. I'm gonna put like a little line in between these two. Kind of give something different. And then I'm gonna align, make sure that these are aligned here. There we go. Go into my alignment, make sure it's center. There we go. I'll change the color here. And then what I think I'm going to do is maybe make this more bold, make it a character style. And see if we make it bright yellow. Oops. I think I did new character style. Let's name this Beach Body. Black. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. Whew. All right, so that's a little bit too big. Excuse me, guys. Okay. Okay. Whew. Let me change the size of this too. We want this to be not as big as the other stories because it's not the focal point. All right. Now I'll probably throw a drop shadow on this and see if that makes it easier to read. If not, I'm going to have to change that yellow here. All right, it's a little hard to see. I might have to change the yellow to a different color. Oops. Color. Let's do like a red. And then maybe we'll change this to black. Get it look kind of different. Okay. All right. I think I'm probably going to put a drop shadow on this as well. Make sure it's not too, just a very subtle drop shadow. It's still a little hard to read, I think, with the line back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this white a little less transparent. Give a little bit more to like an 89%. There we go. Looks better. I have enough space in between here to, I could probably pull this down a little bit, in between my articles so that I know that these are, you know, different articles. Make sure they're equal space. Okay. Another way you could have handled that, blow my nose here 1 second, guys. Is if you didn't want to do this white box, you could also put, let's see here, a gradient swatch. Let's see, let's do a regular rectangle. Let me have my guides here. Just a little tip here, and I'm going to draw just a regular rectangle. I'm going to do it kind of halfway up here, and I'm going to do, I can do this dark color too. I'm going to make it a little bit darker, this red. And then I'm going to take this gradient feather tool and just click and drag it up. And then I can bring these forward. Now, if the dark doesn't work, the light might work. So you might want to change it to a lighter color. And pull it up a little bit. And then if you need to pull this down a little bit, you know, but you kind of get the idea. It's still kind of a little weird there. Another thing you can do is take this image into Photoshop and kind of make it so that it's a little more white. You can do the same thing as the gradient does in here, but actually do it on the original photo. Okay, so just some things to think about if you're having problems with readability of your type. Those are some things that you can do, but you can see that I'm going to downsize this actually a little bit. You can see that this is the feature article, and the most important, you want to make sure that is the biggest one out of the 3 that I did not have. I said I had them all pretty much the same. So I want to make sure that they're all, you know, there's a hierarchy with that. So I know that this is the feature article. It's the first thing listed, and it's bigger and bolder and more emphasized. Then I go down from there into my second article, third article. Excuse me. All right, when you're done with that, what you need to do, so we have the magazine logo on there. We have the photograph promoting the main article. We have the name of the feature article. We have cover lines, at least 2 additional articles. We need 3 more things. We need the date, so the month and the year. We need the magazine price and the barcode. So let's do the date and the year. There's several places that you can put this. You can put it down by the UPC code, or you can put it up here. You can put it in the bar of the flag. So let's do May 2019. You can create your own paragraph style for this, and we'll name this date, year, bold condensed, and then you can always change the alignment. So let's go to right align, where indents and spacing is. So you can put it somewhere like this. Just make sure, I'm going to pull this down a little bit, that it's readable and it's aligned. Okay, so that is one idea. You can always have it down here too, and have it listed down here. It's kind of nice to have it up here because it's the first thing that you see. You can have it up here on the left-hand side too, but it shouldn't be big. You know, this is probably, geez, what is this? Well, we have this set up. We probably have it smaller too, between like 9 to 12, I would say. We have 11 set here. All right, now we just put the month that it is now and the date that it is now. You can also do like the number, so it doesn't have to be May, it could be 5.19, something like this. If you want to do something like that, you can do that. It's completely up to you. Something to think about. Just make sure it's, there we go. Just make sure it's readable and, you know, it makes sense. It's the same typeface. Okay, the UPC code should be small, and I would keep it no bigger than 1.5 inches. So let's do that, like right about there. If you don't know the size, go to your properties box. When you make that size of your rectangle frame tool, if you go to properties, it shows the width and the height here. So right now it's telling me it's almost 2 inches wide by 1 point, so I can change this in here too. I wanted to keep it a little smaller. It shouldn't be big. I've had students that make it huge. It should be something very, very small. Small enough to be clicked, obviously. And the barcode is in that area of your folder that you downloaded in week 1. Now you might need to kind of finagle this a little bit because my box wasn't quite long enough. Okay, if that's the case, that's fine. And what I'll do is I'll probably just shrink this down a little bit. There we go, 80%. So right now, mine's more about 1.808 by 0.8. And you can keep this aligned to the margin. That's fine. You can put the price. That's the only thing we have left here. You can put the price with this too. That's something that you want to do. What I would do is maybe just create a little black box on top of it or something, or maroon or whatever. Take your type tool, and you can use the same date and year paragraph style to do this, except although, yeah, it might be aligned wrong, so it would be aligned to the right. And do your 4.9. Yeah, we'll do a new paragraph style for this, and we're going to name this price. And for this one, we're going to do left align, and character color, we're going to do white for paper. Okay. Let's keep it simple. I think this is probably still like 11-point type. You can even center this if you want, but you have to choose center line. And that would be somewhere you have to change here in your alignment. And there's the price. The price, again, shouldn't be something really big. It should be like around 9, 10, 11-point type. Those are the things that designers don't really want to have huge, because you want people to look at, the magazine cover, the focal point, the feature article, everything else is secondary, going from there. I think we got everything that we needed for the magazine cover, which is good. So we're going to save that. I'm going to take a short break here, and then we're going to get started with your table of contents, which is on page 2. All right, I'll be right back. All right, looks like we're back here. Welcome, Odyssey. You came in while we were on break. I just went over on, let me see if I have my mic unmuted. Yes, we do. We're going to go. We just went over the cover design. We went over your discussion. So whatever you missed, you can listen to the recording. We're going to go ahead. Hello. We're going to go ahead and do the letter from the editor section, page 2, table of contents. All right, so what you need to do is open up your folder that you downloaded in week 1. Again, just to find the table of content Word document. Let me go ahead and get that for 1 second here. Give me 1 minute and I'll grab that. It should be in your articles and it should be called TOC, Table of Contents. It should look like this, although yours might be different because you might be doing a different magazine. There you go. So this is everything that you need to copy over. Now, before you do that, go ahead and do a spell check. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Excuse me. Change. Okay. Then save it. Or you don't have to save it. You can just do select all, copy, and then go right back into your InDesign file, page 2. Now I just put this gray box in here to designate where I'm going to put the table of contents. So you don't necessarily have to do a box. You can just leave it up to this space that you have in here. I would definitely draw a margin though and make sure you have enough space in between the margin and the right side or wherever you have your article starting on, you know, from the editorial. Okay, now I'm going to take my type tool and I'm just going to draw a nice size type box here in this space and do a Command V. I'm going to bring up my styles again. Okay, sorry, I'm dealing with some tree pollen issues and my allergies, and I'm coughing and sneezing, so you'll be hearing me kind of pausing the recording here a couple times to blow my nose. Yeah, it's like, mine's not bad, but it's, I just got through a really bad spell recently. It was really bad. I thought I was sick, but I think it was allergies for sure. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear you're dealing with that, even you have them all year on. Oh, that's terrible. Could imagine. All right, so I'm going to do table of contents for my style name, and I'm just going to use the same font I've been using, just kind of maybe do it a little differently here. Maybe do like a bold, maybe a little bit bigger in point size. We'll have to see what this looks like here and go back if we need to. And I'm going to do a couple things in here that will change up some of this, break it up a little bit. Yeah, see, that's a little bit much. It's a little bit too big. So I'm going to take it back down to 12 points. And then we can play around with this. Okay, so for instance, inside the issue, I'm going to make this, you know, a new paragraph style. And I'm going to do table of contents headline. And I'm going to make this much larger. Try a condensed, bold. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. So, you know, just kind of differentiate it from this copy inside this issue. I just created a completely new style for that. Now, the next thing I want to do is create a completely different style for my article names. So I'm going to do new paragraph style. I'm going to do table of contents article names. And for this one, I'm going to do it just a little bit bigger. I'm going to do all caps, left, all caps, just to see, you know, kind of how that looks. Okay, let's see what that looks like right now. Let's see. Article names. You might need to adjust this depending on the article names, the length of them. You know, you might get some weird breaks. You might want to dial back the point size if that's the case. I'm gonna go ahead and apply this to your article names. Kind of differentiates it from your body copy. The body copy I'm going to leave just as table of contents, and then the byline I'm going to set to a new paragraph style. I'm going to name this table of contents byline. Make sure you specify that because you will have another byline paragraph style in your actual magazine that you've been using. So make sure you differentiate that. Okay, I'm going to go down the size to like 10 points. And I'm going to make this a condensed, let's do a light oblique. Okay, see what that looks like. Okay, there you go. So it kind of differentiates that there. All right, so go ahead and change all those. It looks pretty good. And then if you want to change the spacing in between here, you could do that in your table of content, or I'm sorry, in your master pages, style guides. You would have to go individually in here. Actually, let me see if, let me click off of here. There we go. Let's do indents and spacing, and we'll do space after. We'll just give like a little bit more of a space after here. Click OK. And then we'll have to delete the space that was in there already. Oops. Go ahead. Okay, that actually doesn't look too bad. Is that perfectly spaced out here too? Okay, that actually doesn't look too bad. I'm going to have to play around with some of the copy here in my rag and just kind of make it flow a little bit better. Do some shift returns, so kind of bumps down a little bit better here. There we go. And I guess the next thing I'm going to do is maybe just make the table of contents just a little smaller in point size. Let's do 11 instead, just to gain a little bit more space. Okay. Then I'm going to pull this down a little bit from the top. And now you can kind of see the table of contents taking shape. Now I have to fix all my, I should have probably did this first, all my shifts, returns here that I just did. Okay. All right. So just kind of massaging the text a little bit, getting it to where I want it to be. Let me hear my dog barking here. They're doing lawn work outside. It's funny how once you open the windows, it's a whole new world for a dog. All right, you can set this apart by even just a simple space in between here. You could even put like a very thin line here. I don't really want to put a thin line here only because I have a line or roll line down here, so it looks kind of weird if I have it here. But I just wanted to show you quickly that you could do something like this where it's a thin line. I probably would do something like this, maybe even thinner here. If I didn't have this roll line, it actually would look a lot better. So I'm not going to do that. You can also do something like this. And I showed you this before, where you're putting like maybe a color. Let's do white. Setting apart. This is just, again, just putting emphasis on this section. So it doesn't look like it's part of this article. It's its own section. You can change, you know, you don't even have to have this black. It could be colored headlines too. So think about all of those little things, all the little, there we go. all the little things that you can do to make it more emphasized and not look like it's part of this story over here. That's kind of what we're doing. We want to make it pop, table of contents, but make it also not look like it's a part of this story. Does that make sense? You can even put a drop shadow on just the square, you know, kind of play around with it. You don't go too crazy, but you know, you can play around with it for sure. It's fun to kind of see what you can come up with, something very subtle here, kind of make it pop a little bit more. You can make it bleed off the bottom, although you wouldn't see the page number, but it's completely up to you. Now, the only other thing too is we don't have page numbers in here. If that's something, I mean, obviously table of contents is important because you want to know what page number it's on. So what we're going to do, I'll show you how to put leaders in here based on your tabs to put your page numbers in there. The only thing is we only have a certain articles that we designed. We don't have all of these articles, so we'll have to make up page numbers for some of these. Okay, so I'm going to take my type tool, and this is the article name style sheet. So I'm going to just double click on that, and that'll change all of them once I'm ready to go. And I'm going to hit tabs. Okay. Then what I want to do is I want to do a right justified tab. So this little right arrow, I'm going to drag all the way to where this end stops. That's kind of where my type box stops, my body copy box. I'm going to have it at the very end there. So my page number will align right there. And then see where it says leader? I'm going to put a period there. That's if you want those dots and then page number. When you're done, click OK. And then go in here. Zoom in a little bit. Take your type box or your type tool, and you're going to hit tab. And it's going to give you that nice leader. And then you're going to put the page number in there. Now this is page 2, so I'm going to put 2. I'm going to have to adjust my tabs because I don't want it right on the line there. So we'll do that in a second here. I'm going to bump this down so I have room for this tab. Mom's journey to be healthy. I think this is, what's my feature story? Oh wait, this is page 2. This is not page 2, this is page 3. 3, this is page 3 here. This is page 2. This is where you'll kind of have to make it up, okay? So we'll just say page 12. I'll return this, tab, page 22, tab, and I'm just making these pages up 32. All right, now I have to make sure that this all fits, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and double click again on the article names. And I'm going to go back to my tabs. I'm going to pull this tab in a little bit more to the left so that I'm pulling those tabs. Oop. When I did that, it took off my leader. So let me make sure I put my leader in there, period. There we go. All right, now what happened is because I had some adjustments of type here, I have my copy box went way down here. So I have copy that's too far down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up just slightly and pull this all up slightly. And I'm going to make my article names just a little smaller. These are pretty big. Go 12, and then the spacing after, I'm going to adjust that too. Let's do 0.5, 0.05. Okay, now that's going to adjust this so that, look, it brought it up. So I have a really good spatial balance here at the bottom and at the top. Any questions about that? I want to see that you're setting out hierarchy so you have inside the issues bigger. Your article names they pop more so than the body copy because that's secondary. And then the byline is almost tertiary, so it should be even less important than the information. So kind of see how it kind of goes from most important, second, third, fourth. Nice space in between. It's consistent. That's kind of what I want to see with what you're doing in your table of contents. Like I said earlier, there's examples in the assignment. There's 2 student examples as well you can take a look at if you want some other ideas. All right, the last bit of this is part of the well, it's an important part, is saving this out. So once you're done with the cover, everything looks great, you spell checked, made the revisions from past feedback, you did your table of contents, everything looks great, you're checking spaces, you're checking your folio, you know, everything's balanced, you have everything aligned, your baselines look great, everything's ready to go, you have your full print print ad in there ready to go. I want you to package this, but I want you to be aware of some things here. So I'm going to show you something. So we're going to go File, Package. And what I want you to be aware of is links and images here. All right, so when you go to links and images, this is where you would go. If you were ready to go send this to print, you will have to make sure that all of your images are not missing, so you can see all my statuses are linked, and that you do not have any RGB or JPEG images in here. Now I have a whole bunch of JPEG and RGB images in here that I need to convert. Some are TIFF CMYK is what you want. Those are converted. Barcode is RGB, we'll need to change that. And we'll need to change all of these images here. The runner image, runner on dock, senior exercising image, woman running with dog, sleeping, all that. The reason being is they're JPEGs, so they're low res, they could be high res when they're sent to you, but they're not converted properly for print. So they have to be a TIFF image and CMYK for print. So I'm going to go cancel before I do anything. And I'm going to go open up Photoshop, which I don't have Photoshop open right now, so give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and open that. Now what's going to happen is it's going to make your file size bigger because you're putting TIFF files in there. So just kind of be aware of that. Your file size is going to be big. Your TIFF files are going to be much bigger. If you're having any issues submitting your work, let me know. You shouldn't, but if it's like a bigger file, you might. Just make sure you're zipping it. You should be good to go, hopefully. All right, so Photoshop, I will just open up all the images that should be converted. All right, so I'm going to open up all of these. I already converted my cover shot, so I showed you how to do that earlier. This is one of them that I need to convert. So open them up in Photoshop, the original JPEG, go to image size. This one actually doesn't look too bad. Just make sure that says 300 pixels per inch. Click OK. And then the next thing, and it looks good, 9 inches by 9 inches. We could probably, depending on how big that we place it in there, make it smaller, but we'll just leave it. Then go up to image mode, and choose CMYK. OK, and then you're going to do a file, save as. And I'm going to save this on my desktop so I know where it's at. And I'm going to save this as a TIFF. Click OK. Okay, go to the next one. You should always save as and save it as a TIFF so you're not saving over the JPEG. Let's go to image size for this one. This one looks good. Image mode, CMYK. File, save as. And we're going to save as a TIFF file. I'll put this on my desktop. So it's going to make it a bigger file because it is, you know, a TIFF file. Image size, 300. Go down to 300 on this one. Image mode, or CMYK. File, save as, TIFF. Good habit to get into for any print purposes. If this was for web, we wouldn't need to do it because it's the only thing is the resolution, but we're good. Okay, so then I'm going to go back into my document. I'm going to replace all of the images that I have in here. Command D, I'm going to replace it with my TIFF file. Now it says it's 89 megabytes. That's really, really big. So one thing that you can do to maybe make it not as big, that's really big, is go ahead and select it in your InDesign layout with your selection tool. Go to properties and just note how big this is that you're placing it in. So it's 8.5, really 8.8 by 5, 8.5 by 5. So if I wanted to maybe change this so it wasn't as big, you go back to in Photoshop here. So 8.5 by 5. I'm going to go back to Photoshop. Zoom out here. I'm going to image size. And see how this is 19 by 12? That's the inches. So I would just put in here like 8.5 or 8.5 by 5. And it takes it from 84 megabytes to 16. And then save it. So that's how you could kind of make your file size not so big especially if you're having problems uploading it, and then go ahead and replace it with the one that you just resaved it as. Okay. Same thing with this one. And then this one. And I think we have this one to convert to, but I didn't save it over. Just for purposes of time savement here, I'm just going to go File, Package, and I'm going to show you what it looks like now. So I did almost all of them. I still have the barcode needs to be converted. And I'm looking here at my CMYK. There's the runner linked. And you can kind of, I don't know if you can see, this is the runner on the doc JPEG. We'll have to replace that one. And then there's the sleeping one, which I knew I was, so those two I would have to convert. But that's pretty much what you need to kind of pay attention to when you're saving it for print purposes. When you're ready to go, just go ahead and do File, Package, so everything looks good. Everything's linked in here, CMYK or TIFF, which mine I have to change a little bit. Just go ahead and hit Package. Make sure you include a PDF. Smallest file size is fine. I'm going to save mine to the desktop. And then what I would suggest, I'm going to share my desktop here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so here's my folder, my packaged folder. I'm going to double click on it. I can see all my linked fonts and all my linked images. I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at the PDF because I want to make sure everything looks good here. Okay, go ahead and just kind of peruse through, make sure everything looks good. If you see anything, you'll have to go back and redo it, you know. redo it all over again as far as the packaging is concerned, but everything's in there, looks good. So then I'll either do a control click over top of my folder and compress, or select it, go file, compress. This is gonna zip this. Now this is a big file size, it's 162 megabytes. It's gonna be pretty big. That's a pretty big file. I'm gonna do a Command I on the zipped. It's 90 megabytes when it's zipped. That's pretty big. If you guys are having issues with uploading, let me know, because it is kind of a larger file, but as long as it's a zip file, you should be good. Any questions about that? Okay. For some reason, I lost my, I got kicked out of my browser here. Give me 1 minute. That's strange. Let me click back on your assignment for details, because there's some more steps that you need to do still for this. I don't want to show it to you guys, so hold on 1 second. I got kicked out of my browser for some reason. Maybe I did it to myself, I'm not sure. All right, so what we just did in the demo was we created all of this, okay? We just did all of that. Now we packaged our file, put a PDF in there, we saved your package as a zipped file, we named it, well, we will be naming it as such. Now we have to do this part, these 2 last bullet points. You're gonna upload the final magazine to your Behance portfolio site and submit the URL in the comments. Okay, if you don't have a Behance site yet, go ahead on to behance.net, sign up for a free account, you know, just like any other account. Sign in here. I have my own, so let me open up mine. Now I do have my own projects in here, so it'll look a little different whenever you create your own. By now you should probably have one for the classes that you've been working on here at IU. Good. So you're kind of building your portfolio here. All right, so I'm going to go to my page. So mine looks a little different, like I said. Now, in order to place anything in here, you need to save your pages out as JPEGs. So there's another step. Once you're done packaging and zipping and all that good stuff, you're going to go back to your InDesign file and you're going to export as a JPEG. I would recommend saving these into a folder that you know you're going to be able to get to when you're ready to place it in Behance. So in InDesign, when you get your file open and it's ready to go, you're going to go File, Export, and you're going to choose JPEG as your format. I'm going to save mine to my desktop, that way, because I don't really have a lot of stuff on there. If you do, you might want to put it in a folder. Click OK. You want all the pages. You don't want spreads. We just want pages. Actually, wait, let me think about this. Yeah, you want spreads. I'm thinking the second half of this project, which we'll be doing on Thursday. You do want spreads. You want spreads for Behance. So all pages spreads. Maximum quality is fine. Resolution 72 is fine. Color space RGB is fine. Everything else looks good. Click export. And while we're here, I'm just going to save this to my desktop here. All right, when you're done, I'm going to show you what my desktop looks like. So if you saved it to a folder or saved it to your desktop, this is what it should look like. All right, here are all the, I'm going to do a new folder, and I'm just going to name this Behance. And I'm just going to put the pages in there that are supposed to be on Behance. These are my TIFF files that I need to put. Actually, I do have them in a folder, so I don't even need them anymore. Okay, so all of my Behance files are in here. This is what I need to upload for my Behance. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my website on Behance, and I'm going to say create project. And I'm going to upload files, and I'm going to choose Behance. And again, I'm going to shift return 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 JPEGs and upload those. And the reason why I said post spreads is so that you can see this in a spread fashion. I think it's a better presentation for this. When we do your assessment 4, we're going to be doing something a little differently, so we won't want to have spreads. But for this particular presentation, you want to have spreads. This is what it looks like. When you're ready, click continue. This is where it gets a little tricky. Let's see, DES243 location design. You can just pick your what you want to be your icon, crop and continue. And then here you can add your creative fields. So obviously we want to do graphic design. Oops, not game design, graphic design. And maybe publication design if it's available. No. You can do typography and advertising. I think it only allows you to do 3, yeah. Tools used, you can add in here, you know, Adobe Creative Suite. Or you can put Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop. You can do it separate. Adobe InDesign. Done. Co-owners, copyright, that's all fine and ready. Hit publish to publish it and see what it looks like on your site. Let me go back to my, oh, and that's where it gives you a link, and I just closed out there. So I'm going to show you how to get that link again. Here it is though. I can click on here and view it. And then when I'm ready to share it, hit share up here, or if it pops up like this, just go ahead and copy and paste. This is what you're going to copy and paste into the email that you're going to send to your faculty advisor, FPA, and you're going to CC, carbon copy me on that email. You can also put this URL into your submission for assignment 4 when you submit the packaged file. Any questions about that? Cool beans. All right, I think we went over everything. We had enough time. I didn't know if we were going to have enough time to do everything, so that's good. Did you have any questions? I know you kind of came in a little late. Did you have any questions of what we went over that you've heard so far, Odyssey? All right, like I said, whatever you missed, you could definitely listen to the recording once I'm done processing the recording and we're done with the lecture, and that way you can get started. All right, well, I'm pretty much done for now, so I'm just going to open it up to you. If you have anything that you want to share, anything that you want to look at, this is your time to shine. If not, we can kind of wrap it up, and then we'll continue on Thursday, our final lecture, which will be your assessment 4. Okay. Awesome blossom. All right, if you have any questions, I went through a lot of information today, so I'm just going to end this now. But if you have any questions, any problems that you're hitting, I know these file sizes can be very big, so if you're having issues uploading them, let me know right away. we can figure out another way for you to get me the file. You can do a Dropbox, a Google Drive, share me the link if that's, you know, an issue with this file size. Sometimes Canvas can be very picky. Things happen. I've had students email me their work before, and that's fine. As long as you get it to me before the deadline and let me know what's going on, that's fine. That's why I always like to say don't wait until the last minute if you can, because you might run into problems like that, especially when everybody's trying to upload the files all at one time on the last day of school. Sometimes we can run into issues. So it's always good to kind of try to get it done as early as possible, but don't rush it. And then if you have any, and you know, like I said, any issues uploading it, let me know, because these could be potentially big file sizes. All right, well, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the discussion boards. Aw, thank you. It's a Teacher Appreciation Week, is it? Too bad we weren't in class. You guys can buy me some coffee or something. I'm just kidding. Some chocolate or something. Oh, well, thank Chick-fil-A. Oh, Chick-fil-A. You know what? I don't know if they actually recognize college professors or not. I think that's more of like K through 12 maybe. But they definitely deserve it too. Oh, they do? Cool. I'm gonna have to go check it out. All right. I'm gonna have to, that's my daughter's favorite place, so we'll have to go there this week then. Thanks for the heads up. And it's Mother's Day weekend coming up, so we got all kinds of good stuff going on this week. Ooh, very good to know. I will have to check all that out. Take full advantage. All right, that's awesome. Thank you for letting me know about that. And hopefully I'll see you on Thursday. If not, we'll see you on the boards. All right, have a great day. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.